with related to the other ones, then exited. Over here you can see exactly when it started and exited. And the reason that I find this useful is like, okay, I'm interested in just activity by PowerPoint, and I don't want to have to go digging through the entire trace looking for PowerPoint. I can select it, and this is new too. I can just say include process. And I've just set a filter for PowerPoint. So with that, let's turn our attention back to that case, which I haven't even introduced yet, for what happened. And this was my own case. This was, how many people were at TechEd US last year? You see the keynote? So I was up there doing the keynote thing. Well, this particular case I ran into myself with the Jason Lesnick, who was managing the keynotes for TechEd. When you're doing a keynote, you get some guy that sits and helps you with the keynote demos. Does like all the grunt work for you, which is kind of nice. And we were going to do this demo where I ran an app that was a buggy app that Aaron Margosis wrote. Aaron, are you here, by the way? Yep, there he is, Aaron. Actually, did you write this or Chris? Stock viewer. Oh, Chris Jackson wrote this. So Chris Jackson wrote this buggy program. He did his buggy on purpose to highlight application compatibility problems. So one of the things I was going to show is how the app compat shims that you create for Vista work on Win 7 as well. I was also going to show App Locker, where you can set rules on what programs launch and don't launch. So I needed to digitally sign this so I could show how you can create this rule that says only let software from this publisher run on the computer. So I signed it with the Sysinternals signing certificate, and I gave it back to Jason. Jason calls me up a few minutes later and says, uh-oh, we've got or about a half an hour later, he calls me up and says, uh-oh, we've got a problem. I was running through the keynote demos, and that stock viewer program, which used to start right instantly, now it takes like 2 minutes to start up. So I was like, okay, go get a process monitor trace for me and send it to me. A few minutes later, I got the process monitor trace. Let's go take a look at what I saw. And you know, when he told that to me, I'm like, well, so what if it takes 2 minutes for the stock viewer thing to start up? I mean, Microsoft keynotes are pretty boring anyway. Nobody's really going to I can tell jokes during that time or something. So this is what I saw. Let's find stock viewer instead of filter for stock viewer. Oops. And now I've just got stock viewer. Now instead of, I'm going to cut right to the chase. What I did was try to find gaps in the timestamps that might have been long gaps to see, okay, what happened right before the delay? Where's the delay here? And what I did is eventually notice that there was a pattern. And I'm going to, whoops. And I eventually narrowed the pattern down to this. And if you look, it's reg open keys of HKey local machines, software, Windows, current version, internet settings, connections. And here's 227.21, 227.32, 227.44, 56. A gap of exactly 12 seconds in between each of these, and it's a whole bunch of them that add up to that long delay. So what's going on around this? So I cleared the filter and then started poking up around it. Crypto stuff. So crypto graphic providers. Well, what do you think could be happening when you digitally sign an app and then there's crypto stuff going to the network? Yeah, CRL, certificate revocation list check. So that's what clued me in there. And then I'm like, all right, is this a .NET app maybe? So I double-clicked on it, went to the Process tab, and looked to see if this thing was .NET. Because I'd heard something about signature verification in .NET, and sure enough, it's a .NET app. So I go do a web search for SO Startup .NET app. Let's go take a look at another cool Bing picture. Well, actually, I've already done the search on this one. This one is Fix, .NET Framework 2.0 managed application that has authentic code. Signature takes longer than usual to start. Well, how long does it usually take? And when they say something like that, it took 5 minutes instead of 4 minutes or something, Anyway, so you come down here and it says, okay, you can download this hotfix, which, by the way, is included in Vista and Win 7 for the .NET framework, where you can add a manifest file that has this text in it and just stick it in the same directory as the app, and it will skip that check. So I send him back, and by the way, this just puzzled the crap out of me because, okay, the machine's not connected to the network. And the thing is checking the digital signature to see if it's been revoked. But you know what? If we can't talk to the certificate revocation server, we'll just pretend like it wasn't revoked. It's just fine. That's real secure. So anyway, I emailed the .NET team about it. They're like, oh yeah, we don't know why it does that. The guy that did that, he doesn't work on the .NET team anymore, and we're afraid to change it now. So it's kind of really interesting being on the inside and hearing the stories like that. There's always a really good reason. So think about that next time you run into a problem with Microsoft software. There's always a really good reason. It just might not be obvious. Anyway, I sent back this file to him, dropped it in the directory, and whammo, stock viewer ran, and you saw in the keynote demo that it started up just fine. Problem solved in a few minutes with Process Monitor. Let's take a look at error messages now. This one was really pretty cool. This was sent to me by Microsoft Product Support. And I get a lot of cases sent to me by Product Support these days, which is kind of cool because those guys are pretty good troubleshooters, and it's really gratifying or fulfilling to see those guys actually, their jobs get easier helping Microsoft customers solving problems with the Sysinternals tools. So this one starts out when a customer contacts PSS because they're running SQL reporting services, SRS, and they're trying to attach an image to a particular report, and it just won't attach. The support guy, he starts investigating. Of course, you want to try to have the customer try it in another identically configured system. They've got another SRS server. They try it there. It works there. The PSS guy spends time setting up the exact same environment with the exact same version of everything in-house, tries it there, still works, tries it on a bunch of different OSs. Finally, after 34 hours of working on this thing, he finally says, okay, you know what, I need to take a break and go to the restroom. That's how dedicated those guys are. So he's in the restroom, and he's like, oh, what was that? Process Monitor. I should run Process Monitor. So he jumps out of the restroom, comes back to his cube, and fires it up, and actually asks the customer to go get a trace from that working system and from the failing system. And this highlights a particular troubleshooting technique, comparing a failing systems log with a working systems log. Let's go and pull up that log, or those two logs. So SQL fail, and launch another instance of Process Monitor, and open SQL work. And I wish the arrow snap worked on the top and the bottom, but it only works on the side and the side. You want that too? You know what? They don't listen to it if it comes internally. They're like, you're not a customer, so we can delete that email. What? Click on the... Oh, wow. Well, that almost worked. All right, you know what? I've just... Thanks for that tip. That was, Okay, so here we go. So what he does is he starts scanning the files side by side, or marching through them, and I'm going to get right to the place where things start to get interesting. So he sees right here, if you look up at the top, let me scroll this over a little bit. So we're seeing a reg query value of this hkeysayr thing, some GUID, prog ID, and it comes back with a string value cdo.message1. And he comes across and he's like looking